Annie, and today I'm going to show you how I get paintings ready to hang. So right here on my surface, and yes, I'm sitting on the floor. First I put down just a clean but old towel to protect my paintings, which are dry and varnished and ready to have the wire attached. I've got three kind of small ones here for the video purposes, but you can use this method of attaching a wire for any size of canvas. So I have three small ones here. This one that I'm working with is 10 by 10, and it's important to know the measurements of your piece while you're attaching the wire. I'll show you why in a minute. I'm gonna just move these out of the way. One of the tricks that I have when I start a painting is I write the size somewhere on the inside stretcher bar so that later on down the road, like now, or when I'm adding it to my website or someone asks about it, it's really easy to tell the size of the painting. I always think I'll remember, but I don't. So I write it on there with a Sharpie, somewhere kind of hidden. And then once a piece is done and varnished, another part of my process when I add it to my inventory is it gets an inventory number, and then I write that and the title as well as my name on the back. I've gotten feedback from galleries and art centers that that's really helpful because you take for granted that you know the names of all of your pieces and you can recognize them, but other people can't. So adding this onto the back is really helpful to galleries and art centers or anywhere showing your work, or even to the customer who's buying it. In case they lose their information, they can easily remember the title of the art piece. Okay, so then after that is all done, I'm ready to attach the wire. Some of the tools that I have here is I have some wire cutters. I have some needle nose pliers. They also have a little wire cutter in here. So if you had to choose between getting one of these or you only have one, if your needle nose pliers has a wire cutter in it, that's all you need. Okay, I have a screwdriver, a Phillips. I have a pen. I have measuring tape. I have picture hanging wire. This one's open, but this is 30-pound picture wire. It's a bit overkill for this piece, which is a 10 by 10, but I don't really buy the light duty stuff just because then I have to pick which to use. Then I have the D-rings. I have an open container, but here you can see what they're called. They don't really have a measurement. They call these small, but D-rings I've found are pretty universally preferred between galleries and art centers because with their hanging systems they can put hooks in the back. Other things that you can use are little eyelets, screw eyes or eyelets, or you can use a sawtooth hanger. I use these only if it's selling direct from me to the customer and it's a small piece. I've found that customers don't mind these, and they might even like these better than a picture wire depending on the size of the painting. These can only be used for smaller pieces. To add these, it's really easy. These are the hammer-in kind. Oh, I should get that tool out. I got a tiny little hammer too. If you want to attach this, if it's going straight to a customer, you just measure the center. I make a little mark, boop, and then this has a handy little dot of the center and you just tap it in. This is called a picture hanging hammer. It's really little. I really like it for this. But we're not doing that today because it's going to an art center and they want D-rings. So if you're not sure, you're just hanging stuff, it's always best to go with D-rings. Okay, so now let's get the wire attached. got my tape measure here, and I know this piece is 10 by 10, and the D-rings are picture wires. You're supposed to attach about 1/3 of the way down of the total height of the piece. So the 10 doesn't divide evenly by 3. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna do 3.5. And I make a little pen mark, 3.5 on that side, 3.5 on this side. It's much better to measure it than to just guess, because later on down the line, galleries might be setting their wire hooks to a certain height, and if your D-rings are at the same height, it really helps them out. Okay, so then I just need 2 screws and 2 D-rings. Okay, they come together, which is really nice. And the reason why I have the Phillips head is because my screws are a Phillips head. My screwdriver is really nice because it's magnetic. Okay, so I've got my screw, I've got my D-ring. Now it's time to attach it. So I just take my D-ring, put the hole over the little pen mark I made, and then with my screw, line it up on that little dot. And you can just, the wood back, the stretcher bars are pretty soft, so I don't need a drill or anything. I can just drive it in. And while I'm getting it closer, I can just kind of adjust it so it's kind of pointing that way. Just get it all the way in. So it's still, you want it, so it's still, you know, you don't want it like too tight so it doesn't move at all. You want them to be able to, if they want to turn it a little. So that's perfect. Do the other side. Yeah. That's where the magnet comes in handy. Yeah, like I said, I am doing this on the floor. I have carpet up here, which is one reason why I like it's soft. A little staple from canvas packaging, but I'm gonna pop that out. Okay, so we got the wire, or the D-rings. Now I'll get the wire. Let's see if I have enough here. I think I do. So to first trim the wire, I usually pull it out a couple inches past the width of the canvas. And then use my wire trimmers. Trim it. Okay. Then you can stick it through both kind of initially and lightly bend it to get kind of the height. You don't want it touching the canvas. You want it a little lower. Because if it's touching that when they hang it, it won't like pull the weight of the piece down on the wire. It'll kind of be floating. It won't be as stable. So you want it, you know, not touching the top, but loose. Okay, that's about perfect. I'm not going to say an exact measurement because I don't know what to say. You know, I usually use a finger or a couple. So then we're gonna do a knot called the lark's head knot or cow hitch. This is something that I learned from a gallery. I did not know how to do this until they asked me to do it. So I also have to turn it so that I can have it towards me to do it. So like I said, you pulled it through the bottom up through the top, and I kind of creased it. So then you take the wire and you curve it under this part. Then it's going to go through the top of the D-ring. Boop. And then it's coming over the top. You're kind of making a little pretzel. It's coming up through, so it's coming up over the loop. And then you can pull it tight. Pull this one tight. pull it tight, makes a pretty little knot. And then twist it around several times. And if your picture hanger wire kind of starts to fray, you can retwist it. A lot of times I do wear gloves because the ends of the picture wire can be a little pokey, and as you can see, it's kind of poking out right here. That's where these puppies come in. Yeah, it's poking me. So then you can kind of take your needle nose pliers and like pinch in those pokey parts. Just flatten them in. Some places I've seen, they like you to even further, take one further step and put a little, just around one time of painter's tape to cover up the end, okay? So I'm gonna turn it this way, because I need it to be facing me this way or I can't figure it out, okay? So I went up through the bottom, to the right, I'm going under, in through the top of the D-ring, okay, and then over that bottom loop, making that little pretzel. You should call it the pretzel knot. Look at it, it looks like a pretzel, doesn't it? Okay, so you pull this one tight, still checking. You can see that I need to tighten it this way just a little bit. Pull it really tight. It's not touching the top. And then twist it around. And if you have too much wire, you know, you don't want this whole thing, a big wad of wire back here. So if you have too much at this stage, you can trim it off. I don't have too much. A lot of times I do. So then you can pinch it. Nice. Get all those little ends in. I have a pair of gloves I really like that I like to wear while I'm doing this. Okay? They're actually called mechanics gloves for car repairs, but I really like them for art stuff. Okay, so that's how you do putting on a picture wire.